Okay, I think it's now recording. So, yeah. So the first thing is that you will go to the preferences. Okay, then you will select the structure, then place OK. So here you can find the different there are different options. If you want to do the thermal analysis, you can do that. There is option for ANSYS fluid. You want to analyze the fluid behavior, you can do that. So in our case, it's a simple structural model you will be doing. So it's okay. Then the first thing we'll do is the element type. We will choose the element type, because in if you, as you are studying the find element methods, so we'll see that you will have different kind of elements. You will have beam element, you will have plate element, you will have suppose truss element, okay, link element, like that. So each element has different property. Like suppose you want to model a truss. Okay, if you want to model a truss, so what is the means nature of a truss member? Anyone? If you want to analyze a truss, so what is the nature of truss member? Means how, what kind of forces generally come in a truss member? Anyone? Axial forces. Yeah, either it's a it's a axial tension, or it's a compression, right? So this kind of truss can be modeled by link element. Okay. So and if I have a beam, then what kind of like forces act on a beam? Hmm? What kind of forces act on a beam? Bending moment, shear force, yes, rotation, yeah, rotation you can say. Okay. So that's true. So it will be having flexile or bending moment you will have, right? Then it will have shear, it will have shear. Then if you talk about these are like force parameters, right? And if you're talking about displacement and all, then we'll be rotation. Then we can have 6 degrees of freedom over here, right? 6 degrees of freedom. And if you talk about, and yeah, so it is not same as link element, right? So link element are also bending shear force, as well as the tension axial force can also be taken by a beam, right? So a beam element can take all these things. So a truss can be modeled by a link, but if you want to model a beam, you have to use beam element. Okay, you cannot model a beam with a link element, you cannot use that. Okay, because link element doesn't has that capacity to analyze its bending moment and shear force and all. Then suppose if you want to design or analyze a plate, a slab, okay, then you can use a thin shell, thin shell you can use, thin shell element. Or suppose you want to model a brick or kind of solid kind of thing, you can use solid element. Every element is different because it has different capacities of analyzing. Okay, the solid element is more versatile than suppose beam element. Okay, you can say that. So choosing the appropriate or correct element type is also important in ANSYS. Okay, you have to know what is the exact, what kind of element you are going to choose for that particular analysis, or means basically what you want out of the analysis, what are your objective. According to that you will choose the elements. Okay, so here are, in our case, we have a beam. So in case of beam, we can select two node beam. So we'll go to add. You will see here different elements are there. We have link element, we have beam element, pipe element, solid element, shell element, solid shell. Different elements are there already pre-installed. Okay, so we will select beam. So we have two beam element. One is 2 node 188 and 3 node 189. So this is the name of the element. So we will be working with two node element. Okay, two node elements means suppose this is the beam, we have a node at the starting and another node at the end. If you have a three node element, then you will have three nodes over here, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, but this is one element. Okay, so like this kind of two elements can be there. So we will choose two noded element. Okay, so we will select it and press OK, and this is already been added. We'll close it. Okay, then we will select the properties of the section. So we have option called material, sorry, next we will go for material properties. Okay, so here material properties, if you select, you have material models. You can import the from the material library also. So as we have already available with us the Young's modulus, so we will go for material models. So we'll click here. So you can see whatever material model you have selected, it will be shown over here. You can choose different kind of different materials. Okay, suppose steel, concrete, different kind of composite material you can choose. So it's up to you. So first you will go for structural, then you will be asked whether your material is linear or non-linear, whether it's isotropic or non-isotropic. So our material is a concrete, we are assuming it to be isotropic, so you will select linear. Then whether it's elastic, yes, it's elastic. Then whether it's isotropic, orthotropic or anisotropic. So what is isotropic? Isotropic means its properties are same in all the directions. Okay, suppose you have a cube over here, and if the properties are same in all the directions, suppose this is 1, this is 2 and this is 3 direction. If all the three directions is the same, that is called isotropic. If the directions are different in two perpendicular directions, suppose here the property is different in this side, along this side this property is different and the other side properties are different, then that is called orthotropic. Okay, and anisotropic means everywhere the properties are different. Okay, so suppose you have a bamboo. Bamboo, if you see the cross section of it, you have small fibers, right? So if you see, if I have, suppose this is one axis, this is two axis, and the top one, the vertical one is suppose three axis. So the property along 3 is not the same as property along 2, because if the along the 3 direction, along the vertical direction means the direction which is along the length of the bamboo, you will having more tension capacity, but along the one direction it will have very less tension capacity, because if I pull it, suppose if I pull the bamboo from this side, then it will split over here. But if I pull the bamboo along longitudinal side, suppose this side and this side, then it can take a lot, means much very higher amount of uh, tensile force, right? So it is not same. So it will be a kind of orthotropic material, you can say. Anisotropic materials are like, there are different kind of actually concrete is a basically not exactly concrete, you can say, but still you can say it, it's a anisotropic. If I choose it very, if I think about it very in a very finite manner. Okay, so yeah, so here I will select the isotropic. Okay, then it will ask for ex, and means the Young's modulus of elasticity and the Poisson's ratio. If I choose the orthotropic one, it will ask you three, the means along x, y and z, what are the different Young's values that will ask. Okay, you can see. And if I out anisotropic, it will ask for all these things. So you will see this d1 and what is these up to d66. If you study about composite material, you will get this one. Also you can see, you can find it out in FEM also. Okay, so we will go for isotropic. The E value, if I see for our case, E value is in case of Pascal, if you want to write it, there is 2.5 into 10 to the power 10. So we'll write it here, 2.5. The 10 to the power is written as E10. Okay, E10 means 10 to the power 10. and Poisson's ratio, suppose it is 0.2 for our case, then press OK. Okay, so here you can see it's been saved over here in this side. Then close it. We have the material properties with us. Then we will go for section. Beam section we have, so we'll select the beam. Go for common sections. So here one problem is there, that if you see that B and D, it's not like this. Here B is this one, H is this one. Don't think that, means though it's written like this, but it is being in, means when you will model, you will understand that if you put B value as suppose 0.3 and H value is 0.5, in that case your modeling will be something like this. Okay, it is like this side is represented as B and this side is represented as H. Okay, so for our case we have let's write it down. We have B as 0.3 and H as 0.5. Height is, sorry, I think B is 0.5 and H is 0.3. Okay, the width is 0.5 over here. The width, the B is 0.5 and the depth is 0.3. Okay, the width is 0.5 over here. Okay, sorry, we have to write it in the reverse manner, then only we can model that, otherwise it will not come. Okay, so you have to put it in the reversed way. Okay, I don't know why this problem is there, probably because of the orientation, but you have to write in the reverse way. Here B will be 0.3 and H will be 0.5. You will understand when we will be modeling. Then press OK. We have given the dimension of the section, then press OK. Then we have done material properties, we have done sectioning. Now we'll be doing modeling. So in case of modeling, we'll be creating you can draw the lines, you can draw area, you can draw volume, nodes, everything. But we will first draw the key points. What is the meaning of key point and nodes? The difference between the key point and node is a structural element. Element means it's a part of the analysis. But key point is not a part of the analysis. It's just for like a drafting, for drafting purpose. Suppose in engineering drawing you use the guiding lines, right? So that kind of thing. The key points are guiding points. Okay. So we'll go for key points. Click the key points, then click on active CS. That means active page I want to draw. Then we have a 8 meter long beam with a at the center we have the load. So the first point, that is node 1, will be having the coordinate 0, 0, 0. Then press apply. Then the second point will be having x coordinate will be 4, 0, 0. Apply. Then third point having a coordinate of 8, 0, 0. Okay. So you can see we have 3 points, because why we have defined 3 points, because I want to mark the center, because at the center I will be given the load. That is why I have marked as a key point there. Okay. Otherwise you can directly put 1 and 3, or means either the final 2 points you can choose. But as I want to find a midpoint, so I have given up another point or key point 2 over here. Then we will draw the lines. So we'll go to the lines, then draw a straight line, select the 2 points, you can select it like this, so your drawing will be done. After this you can see that we have drawn the lines, so almost our modeling is means almost complete, because our model is something like this. A beam we have the simply supported, the simple beam, and at the midpoint we have the load. So the next thing is that we now have the line, but we don't have the element. That means it's just a line now. You have not assigned anything to this line. Whether it's, what is this line? Whether it's a beam, it's a concrete, or it's a steel. Anything it can be, but you have not defined it yet. So that can be done by meshing. Okay. So we'll do the meshing now. We'll go to the mesh here, meshing. The first thing, that is the mesh attributes. That means what are the things that you are going to assign, how you are going to assign. So you will go to mesh attributes. Suppose I want to choose these 2 lines as concrete, right? So I will go there and I can select picked lines over here. So you can see picked lines. So if I do the picked lines, I can choose each one of the line and separately I can assign, or I can select all lines. It will select all the lines and you can assign its individual properties. Okay. So here we can go for suppose all lines. It will select all the lines over in whatever you have drawn. Then it will show you what are the materials. So we have modeled only one material, so only one is written over here. The element type is beam. The section element size is 1. So I will place OK. So now we have the meshing, but how which are the things that we want to assign, we have selected now. Okay. After that we will go for size control. We have a mesh tool also. You can use mesh tool also. We will do it later in another class probably. Now today I will show you the size control. So in size control we will go for manual sizing. That means I told you that all lines means here in finite element modeling, everything depends upon the how many numbers of elements you are going to take, means how many different parts you are going to make. Okay, so here we can see that 4 elements. Suppose we want to make of each element of 1 meter length. Okay, so number of element divisions, suppose it's 4, and then press OK. I have select all lines over here, so it will select all the lines automatically. So press OK. So you'll see there we have 4 numbers of elements for each line. Okay, 1 2 3 4, one this line, one line, and 1 2 3 4, this is separate line. 4 numbers, so total 8 numbers of elements we have. After that we will do the mesh. Okay, we'll go to the mesh, then lines. You will select the lines and press OK. Now it is now transferred to a element. It is a now element. Okay, if you want to see the how this element looks like, you can do that. So before that let's now assign the end conditions. So go to the loads, go to define loads, go to apply, go to structural. In structural we have displacement. Okay, now then we have here key points, 1 2 3, three key points. We can see the key points. You guys look going to the plot control, numbering, so the here you can keep it on and press OK. Plot key points, you can see these are the key points over here. Or if you want to plot the element, so it will plot the element. So I want to give this 2 point as a simply supported, right? But there is a problem with simply supported. That means in case of a simply supported, we know that if it's a simply supported case, we only allow rotation, that means rotation about z. That means if this is x, this is y, and this is z, we only allow rotation about sorry, if it is a simply supported, that means it is not being restrained by anything, right? You are just placing it over a support, but in reality that doesn't do. It is not how it is. It can be modeled in ANSYS, because if you have no support, if according to this, according to simply supported case, means it is just placed over the support, so it is no connection between the support and the beam. Then what will happen in ANSYS, your structure will be free. That means there is no restraint to it. If there is no restraint, there is no reaction to the force. If I give a force, if this, suppose you have a beam, and you have applied a force over here P, and if you have no support, then what will happen? The beam will just move, it will just move as a rigid body. It's like in space, there is no resistance, right? So we have to, if I want to do the analysis, it's a 2D thing. So how we can do that? We can, suppose this is x, this is y, and this is z. We will restrict the rotation in the y direction, sorry, not rotation, the displacement in y direction, this is y, displacement in z direction, rotation about y, and rotation about x. These things, and also the translation about x also we will restrain. Means we are only allowing it to deflect. Only rotation about z is allowed. Rotation about z is allowed. Other than that, all are being restrained. This, by doing this, you are just mimicking a 2D case in a with you 2D simply supported case. Okay, where load is acting downward. If load is acting upward, probably this support condition might not be exactly similar to a physical case that you can think of, but as the load is downward, so this support condition is pretty much sufficient for modeling a simply supported beam. Okay, so these are the some things that you need to understand, or you need to use your own knowledge while modeling in ANSYS. Okay, so here what we will do, we will only allow the rotation about z. Okay, and that should mimic our simply supported beam. So what I will do, we'll go for displacement over here, then on key points, select the key points, both the key points, and press OK. Here it will ask for what are the degrees of freedom to be constrained. What are the degrees of freedom I want to constrain? I want to constrain ux, uy, uz, rotation x, rotation y, but I don't want to constrain it about rotation z, because if I do that, it will be now fixed. I don't want it to be fixed. Okay, then press OK. Now it has given that particular means support condition to the beam. Then we will apply the force. We'll select on key points. Now it is very easy for us to select. You can see if I choose on node, you can see there are different nodes. Why? Because we have divided these beams into numbers of nodes, 8 numbers of elements, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, 8 numbers. So in each element there has 2 nodes, so 1 2 3 4 5 6, like that, 2 each node will be there. So you can select number of nodes, but I want to choose the key point because I want to choose only the midpoint. There is no, means it's just to help us to find out the midpoint. Okay, so key point is selected, press OK. Then that will be acting in the in the y direction, in the negative direction. So I want to give it in a like in Newton. So we have 500 kilonewton. So 500, if I want to write it in Newton, it will be 3x another zeros. So this is 500,000 Newton. Then press OK. You can see the load is being applied over here. After this, I think everything is done. So you can go for solution, go to solution, then solve, current ls. Okay. Now you can see solution is done. Close. Now if you want to see the deform shape, you can go to Zenel post processor. You can see the plot results, deform shape. Go to deform plus undeform, press OK. You can see how it is being deformed. So so far, have you understood what I have taught so far? Are you there? Are you feeling are you are you feeling sleepy? No? Okay. Yeah, so almost over. So we have now designed, we have now analyzed our beam. Now the thing we have to now check whether it has done is correctly for us or not. Okay. Now let's see at this midpoint what is the deflection, because we have already calculated our deflection should be 1.896 meter, 1.1896 meter. So we'll go for red. We can see the list results. Okay, then this is a nodal solution, this is a node. So first of all we can see the different nodes here. You can go to plot control, numbering, so as the nodes. Okay, so different nodes are there. This is node number 2. I want to see the deflection of node number 2. The nodal solutions, so it is asking for, we want to find out or see the degrees of freedom solution. You can find a stress solution also, stress, mechanical strain, elastic strain, plastic strain, creep strain, everything you can find it over here. So you will go for degrees of freedom. So we want to see along the y direction, so select the y direction, y component, press OK. You can see over here this 2, we have point node 2, this one, this is 0.18795, and this is the maximum one. It's written point minus 0.18795, it's in meter. Okay, any nowhere we have given units, so everything, the units that you have input, you have given the input, the same unit you will get the output. So it is 0.18795, and what was our calculation? As per our calculation, it is same 1.1896, right? So it is almost, means up to 3 decimal point is accurate, right? Now what about the bending moment? So how to draw the bending moment? So for this is one thing that I need to show you about these different elements. You can search it in the net. If you search bend a bending, suppose anything beam element or anything, you will get different suppose content in the net. So if you choose beam 188, you will see what is there. Means it's basically a ANSYS database. So what is this beam 88? So beam 88 is a suitable for analyzing slender to moderate stubby thick beam structures. The element is based on Timoshenko beam theory. I think you already know what is Timoshenko beam theory. It says that the plane section doesn't remain plane after bending. That means the shear deformation is taken into account. So which includes the shear deformation. The element provides options for unrestrained wrapping and restrained warping of cross sections. Okay, so here you can read it out, what are different things, how it is done, what are different theory behind this element, and means idea behind choosing this particular element. Okay, now one thing I need to show you before drawing the bending moment diagram, the outputs, how these outputs are given to us for these elements. Here you can see for different outputs, suppose fx means along the x direction, this is the actually axial force we have, this is the axial force. My, mz, these are moments, this is about y, this is about z. Tq, I think it's a torque. Sfx and sfy, these are shear forces. This is along the z direction, this is along the y direction. Now we have a beam like this, and this is x direction, this is y, and this is z, right? So we want to draw the bending moment diagram like this, right? So what is the bending, which direction this bending moment is acting? This bending moment is nothing but moment z. This bending moment that we draw, this is basically the moment about the z direction. So this is mz, this is nothing but mz. And the shear force that you draw, that is the shear force, probably will look like this kind of shear force, and the shear force is basically sfy. Okay, sfy is basically the shear force that we require, and mz is the bending moment we require. So you can see over here, for drawing the bending moment diagram, we need mz and sfy. So for corresponding SMIC, that is sequence number is 3 for node 1 and 16 for node J. That means first node, this sequence number is 3, and for the last node is 16. And for shear force it is 6 and 19. Okay, this information will be required for drawing the bending moment and shear force diagram. These two will be required for bending moment diagram, and this will be required for shear force diagram. So let's do that. Let's see how it is done. So yes. This I think this bending moment and shear force, this numbers, if you remember, 316, 36, 16, 19, that is sufficient. These things you have to remember, because in the exam, if it's a physical exam, then you will be asked to draw a bending moment diagram, and eventually, as you will be practicing, you will remember this. Only these four numbers you need to remember: 3, 6, 16 and 19. 3, 6, 16, 19. That's this much. Okay. So how to do that? First of all, you will go to the element table, define table. You will go to add. You will go here. You will see SMIC by sequence number. You'll select this one, SMIC. So here SMIC is there. Here you will see the number. We have 3. Write 3 and press apply. It is being added over here. Then again go to sequence number SMIC 6, apply. Then we need 16, right? 16, apply, right? 19 and press OK. So we have this all these numbers, okay? But 3 is for bending moment at the first node, 16 is for bending moment at the last node, 6 is for shear force at the first node, and 19 is a shear force at the last node. Okay, now close it. Now go to the plot results. uh, you will see the contour. You will go to the contour plot, then you will go to line element response, okay, or results. So here you can choose for node 1 and node 2 what are the SMIC number. So I know that if I want to draw the shear force or bending moment diagram, for node 1 it is SMIC 3, and for node 2 or node J it is SMIC 16, right? For node 1 it is 3, and then for node J it is 16. So that is what I have, 3 and 16 over here. And whether you want to see the bending moment diagram what deformed shape or undeformed shape, I want to see in the undeformed shape. Press OK. You can see the bending moment diagram. Here you can see the difference. Why it is like step? Because we have considered this is as element. This is one element. This is another element. This is another element. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can see over here, NCS doesn't do the calculation in between. It will only do the calculation at the node, at the nodes. That is why we have the information available only at the nodes. That is why it looks like a step. And even if you see the bending moment at this point, maximum bending moment is written as 87500, right? That means suppose 8.875 into 10 to the power 1 2 3 4 5 6 in 10 to the power 6, this much. But if you see our calculation, it is 1 into 10 to the power 6. This is 1 into 10 to the power 6. You can see over here where we have got 0.875. It is a very huge difference we have. This difference is coming because we have considered a larger or coarse element size. The meshing size is coarse, that means the meshing size is large. So we have to refine it, or to fine tune, or we have to reduce the element size if I want to have a better result. Okay, let's see how it will change. So we can redo it again. We'll go to, suppose again, preprocessor. We will go to the meshing. First suppose we'll plot the element. Okay, so we'll first clear the mesh. Okay, so go to mesh, then clear. I will select the line, this two line I will select and press OK. Now I have cleared the meshing. If I clear the mesh, that means what? Initially you will have lines. After meshing it becomes element. You please try to understand. Initially you have lines. After, as you mesh it, it becomes element. Now I have done the reverse. I have done the clear item. So element becomes line. So I was viewing what? Here in plot, I was click. If I do the element, you will say there is no element because now we have line. So if you see, go to plot, and if you click the line, you will show the line but not the element. But initially it was showing the element. Understood? So now here let's reduce the size control, manual size lines. suppose all lines, suppose I will change it to 20. Okay, so each element will be divided in 20, total will be having 40 elements now. Okay, so it has, you can see small elements we have right now. Now we will just do the mesh because everything is already set up. Initially already we have set up, so I will not do it again. So I will just do pick all. I will click pick all, so it will just convert to element. Okay, now let's see the bending moment diagram. We will solve it now. Solve, current ls, done. So solve is done. So we'll go to general post processor. We'll go to the element table, define table. It was previous, so we'll update it. Now it is current. Close. Then we'll go to plot, contour plot, element table 6 and 16. Press OK. Now we can see a better view, right? And if we see the maximum bending moment, it is 0.97 now. Here you can see this is 0.975 into 10 to the power 6 Newton meter, and our, as per analysis, we have 1 Newton meter. You can see initially it was 0.875 or something, right? Initially it was like this. Now as the mass is increased, now we have got a better accurate result. It's more closer to 1. So if you change or now increase the number from suppose 20, initially we have 4, now we have 20, then again suppose you can increase to 50 or 60, you will get very close to 1. Okay, but the problem is as you increase the numbers, you increase the numbers of elements, it is doing the calculation at all these points, so it takes more computational effort. So it takes more computational effort. That means if you have a very large structure and you are doing very fine meshing, it might take a long time to do the calculation. But as we have on the very simple beam, so it is doing very fast. But it takes more computational effort. So the numbers of elements, you can see the numbers of elements is proportional to accuracy. If you have um, more numbers of elements, you will be having more accurate result, but this is inversely proportional to the time. Sorry, it is, means it is also not, I can say it's also proportional to the time, means it requires more time, it requires more computational effort, means more energy will be used to do the analysis. So that is why you have to choose wisely how many numbers of element you want, be depending upon the accuracy level you want, depending upon the time you have, depending upon the computation effort you can uh, allow to have, or you want to have. According to that you have to choose the numbers of element, or like that you have to do the fine tuning of the meshing. Okay, so this is how we do the bending moment. If you want to see the shear force, that also we can do with the line table. We have 6 and 19. It's okay. We have the shear force diagram over here. You can see it is 25. So it is very much accurate. Okay. So this is how we do the simply supported beam. So with this, basically we can say this is the first class. I would suggest you to, if you have the possibility, then practice it, try to practice it, and do some other kind of beams. If it's a try for this fixed beam, okay, try for a cantilever beam, try for a overhang beam, like that. Okay, so I will post an assignment in the Google Classroom. I will not ask you to submit it today because many of you have problem, and probably after 2-3 weeks you will sort it out. Then so that is why I will not put any submission date. So you just try it out and give me report or submit the assignment, something like this. You write in a Word file, you do the manual calculation, give the drawing, do the manual calculation. After that, take the screenshot like this. Suppose this is a screenshot of the shear force, you give the shear screenshot of the ANSYS results and compile a report like that, okay, and you have to submit it